Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
All right, welcome back to podcast 34 of 2019. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can tweet us at the Odds Breakers. Follow us on our newer social media sites, Facebook and Instagram / the Odds Breakers. We have a fantastic show for you today. There are a couple more states on board for the legalization of sports betting. I'm going to cover that a little bit. And then I'm going to welcome former NFL offensive lineman and Princeton University alumnus, Mr. Ross Tucker. You've seen him as an analyst on NBC Sports, the Dan Patrick Show. Can't wait for that. And then at the very end, I'm going to give out another free play in college football season win totals. This episode is being brought to you by mybookie.ag. For a 50% sign-up bonus, please visit MyBookie. Use the promo code TheOddsBreakers. Terms and conditions apply. If you'd like to help us out and sponsor our podcast, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, and become a premium member for $12.99 a month. You will get access to all content and our premium picks before the line moves. For $2 more, you can have all that and become a patron subscriber, which will get you the podcast a little bit early. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. All right, let's get into some of the changes in the landscape here of the legalization of sports betting. As you know, last time we covered Illinois, Iowa, Tennessee, all became legal, and they're probably going to have some shops opening up soon. The next two states that have just passed the bill to legalize sports betting are New Hampshire and Maine. So congratulations to them. It looks like they will be using kind of the same rules and following the same best practices. They're going to have some online or mobile-based betting as well as some brick-and-mortar shops. You have to be over 18. And I'm guessing that they're not going to allow some of the local sports within the state to be bet on, similar to Illinois and some of the other states that passed the legalization of sports betting. I think it's just such a great thing that this is now becoming a thing. As you know, the lottery system certainly gives you a much lower percentage of winning. I've heard it's somewhere around 28 to 30%. When you know sports betting is a flip of a coin or better, if you can be good at it, you make a profit. The tax comes on the sports books. It doesn't come on you unless you make a lot of money. You, of course, technically have to report it, but it's fantastic that these bills are being passed so quickly. I mean, we all know that the money is needed, and it's kind of interesting how quickly they change their tune when they see how many tax dollars something like this can generate.
But they are who we thought they were.
If you have any other questions about the legalization of sports betting, please tweet us at the Odds Breakers. We'll at least get your question to somebody that can answer it if we can't answer it ourselves. Now, without further ado, let's bring on our guest, Mr. Ross Tucker. He is a former NFL offensive lineman and a Princeton University two-time academic All-American. You've heard him many times as an analyst on the NBC Sports Network, Sirius XM, The Dan Patrick Show, and of course pertaining to this audience, Even Money, part of the Ross Tucker Media Podcast. I'm very excited to welcome Ross Tucker to the show. You can follow him on Twitter at Ross Tucker NFL. Ross, I'm a big fan. Thanks for coming on today.
Well, thanks for saying that, Kiev. That means a lot. It's funny because kind of had my eye on you and what you've been doing with your podcast every summer, and sometimes even through the year. I have an intern, and I asked them to keep an eye on kind of up-and-coming podcasts that are really starting to do well. And he got back to me and said, "You really got to go on with Kiev." I said, "All right, let's do it. Let's do a home and home." So I'm looking forward to it. I love talking to podcasters that are really growing their business and growing their audience, and especially someone like you that has unique insight on the sports betting part of it.
Well, thank you very much. And obviously getting to you knows we're doing something right here. A lot of people follow you and respect you. I've heard you many times on the radio, always been a fan. So when you guys reached out to me, I was really excited. So how's the summer been treating you?
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's kind of interesting because I was with Sirius XM for 12 years. But I have a new opportunity I'll be starting in August that hasn't been released yet or announced yet. So it's been kind of weird the last couple of weeks, really, for the first time in a long, long time not being on the radio every day. It's kind of been different for me.
Probably a nice break.
Yeah, you know what it has been. I'm trying to get a lot of other stuff done in the meantime, right? So that I get all my ducks in a row before football season starts and before my new opportunity starts.
Well, we're super excited to hear you announce it, my man, and that's why you guys out there should follow Ross Tucker on Twitter. Let's get into a few of these. Actually, I had a question before we get into these NFL questions here.
And by the way, Kia, before I forget, it's at Ross Tucker NFL. Is my Twitter handle. There's some other imposter that's at Ross Tucker. So don't follow that guy. He's like a Yahoo Finance guy or whatever. You'll be seriously disappointed. Make sure you follow at Ross Tucker NFL.
All right. Well, if you want to fall asleep, you can follow the fake Ross Tucker. So that's good. So we'll be looking out for that, my man. Well, how was playing offensive line during the early 2000s in the NFL? I kind of feel like that was the time that the offensive linemen were starting to get more recognition and respect in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I just know that it was awesome. I mean, my dad's 5'9", 170 pounds. I think every little kid dreams of playing the NFL, but I don't know. By the time I was like 11 or 12, I just didn't think that was realistic. I mean, I didn't even start in 10th grade for my high school because I was like 6'1", 170 the first few games, and there was an injury and I played, so I just never really expected to get this big or this good or whatever. I just wasn't anticipating. I kind of always wanted to be a broadcaster, and I always tell people that I feel like God made me good enough at football so I could be a broadcaster, so I could get my dream job of being a broadcaster. So it was awesome, though. Honestly, I mean, it's like anything else in life. Like, my wife does not have as good of memories about my time. It's tough, man. There's a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of anxiety. I choose to focus on the positives. It was an awesome temp job in my 20s. It enabled me to be 40 years old now and still haven't had to have a real job yet. Everything I do is talking about football in some capacity for money, which is amazing. And so I guess that's kind of how I look at it. I focus on the positives. It was great. 5 teams, 7 years, classic journeyman. I got a chance to block for Emmitt Smith for 7 games, the all-time leading rusher. I blocked for Drew Bledsoe and McGahee and Eric Moulds and Travis Henry in Buffalo, and then never in a game, but, just snapping the ball to Tom Brady in practice and having him look me in the eye and say, "All right, Ross, great snap first. You and me, great snap first." Just how intense he was. It was just cool, man. I mean, I can't believe that he's still playing. He was a year older than me. And, I played 7 years. He played, I retired in 2008. He's still playing, and he's still the best or one of them. Meanwhile, like, if I go to a bar, by the time I'm on my second beer, I need to sit down. It hurts my back. I need to be standing up at the bar. It's amazing to me what he's been able to do.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you had such a journey in the NFL, being able to play with some of those future Hall of Famers. Obviously, Tom Brady, to myself and to most people, is probably looked at as the best in the business, the greatest of all time. So that is super awesome. Well, real quick, let's get into the NFL rule changes before we get into some of these totals. Do you have any thoughts on or opinions on what they're doing different this year?
Yeah, sure. Now, do you mean just in terms of how it will play out on the field, or strictly from a betting perspective and how it might have an impact?
Well, a little bit of both, actually, because we know with the new pass interference rules, you might get a little bit slower play. Will it make it more accurate? I guess we can start right there.
I do think there are some real concerns about, especially in the last 2 minutes, how often they're going to stop to check it. Because it's really human nature, right? So we all know now pass interference can be challenged. It'll be a head coach's challenge until the final 2 minutes of the half or the game. I don't really envision the head coaches throwing that challenge very often. If they stick with what they're supposed to do, which is going ahead and, only overturning it if it's clear and obvious, then I just don't think coaches are going to want to waste challenges or want to waste timeouts. I don't think they're going to throw a challenge flag unless it's really clear and really obvious. Mm-hmm. My concern, though, and this is why I would have preferred Kiev if they had kept it to a coach's challenge even in the final 2 minutes, is you make it a booth review in the final 2 minutes of a half or a game. Those people who we've never heard of, they don't make a lot of money, they're up at the stadium, they're going to, what do you think their default mechanism is going to be, right? Mm-hmm. When in doubt, they're going to stop play.
Oh, absolutely.
When in doubt, they're going to have them take a look at it, because the only way they really look bad, or the only way they really get in trouble, is if they didn't stop it and let Alberto Riveron and the official at the game take a look at it. So when in doubt, they're going to stop the action. And I guess we're all about to find out, how often that ends up really being.
Yeah, and that's everyone's concern. I do like the fact that the cameras have proved over the years to make games, with the right outcomes as much as possible. And I do agree with using the technology, but I do not agree with the amount of stops it takes. You do not have to put a microscope into every single play, because that's essentially what you're saying, what could happen. Leave it up to the coaches there. I even kind of thought that the eye in the sky type official might be something that could be thought of in the future. I know that this is experimental, so I find it very interesting and to watch how it plays out. But maybe from a sports betting perspective, it will take out some of the variance in the game that happens from the officials.
I would say too, I would think that I don't know. I've seen where Aaron Rodgers said he thinks it helps the defense. I guess we don't really know when they're going to call offensive pass interference on rub routes and stuff like that. I mean, those are really, there's so much unknown. My initial reaction was that I felt like maybe there'd be a chance for more scoring, but I'm gonna reserve. I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true either, because there's that little push-off receivers sometimes do, and how are they going to enforce that? That's a great question. I have no clue what they're going to do and how this is going to evolve, but hopefully it leads to something better. That's what we're all looking for as fans and obviously as people that like to bet these games. Well, let's get right into a little bit of these season win totals, my man. And, I want to start with a division that you know very well, being played for the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, the AFC East. We have the Dolphins with 5. We have the Bills with 7. The Jets are with 7, and the Patriots are with 11. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I know that